We are getting closer and closer to the end of season number 2 here in the Portland Trailblazers MyNBA franchise here on NBA 2K24. And our team has got a real shot to potentially grab a playoff spot. We have been a little bit up and down since the All-Star break, largely because we've been banged up, but we are now fully healthy with just 17 games left to go in the regular season. And as things stand right now, we have the final playoff spot in the Western Conference as the number 6 seed. Right now, the Western Conference really is in tiers. The Rockets are alone in Tier 1. Then Dallas, Memphis, Golden State, and Denver all have playoff spots essentially locked up. And then you get to that next tier, headlined by us, along with Minnesota, the Clippers, and the Pelicans. One out of the 4 of us is likely to get a playoff spot, while the other 3 will probably be battling it out for a play-in spot. There are some teams who are in the race behind us for play-in spots, but it would take a lot for us to, at the bare minimum, not make the play-in tournament unless somebody like the Lakers, Suns, or Thunder really heat up, but those teams are 4+ games behind us. Out east, the Cavaliers are by far the best team here. The gap between first and second place is bigger than the gap between second and 11th place. That's how good Cleveland has been. The rest of the conference is super tight, though, and it really could go in any which way. Since the All-Star break, we've had some guys really step up due to injury. Scoot Henderson, similarly to last year, has played his best basketball down the stretch. DeAndre Ayton and Darius Springer in the front court have both been very good, being healthy. And now, for the first time since January, we have no injuries, which is really exciting. Our team was super healthy through the first half of the year, but ever since the middle of January, we've been one of the least healthy teams in the league, and now we've got everybody back. Before we keep going here, we've got our next prospect profile. Keep in mind, we have 3 first-rounders in this year's draft, including a swap worst of the Nets and the Rockets. The Nets have been playing better, but it's not going to matter because we get the worst of the 2 picks, so that'll probably be either 29 or 30. We also have our own first along with Minnesota's, both of which are unprotected, but we've obviously exceeded expectations this year, and the Timberwolves have been one of the hottest teams in the league over the last month or so. So as of now, it looks like none of those 3 picks are going to be in the lottery, which is relevant because today we're going over some of the non-lottery players. We've already gone over a lot of the top prospects in this year's draft, so today we're going to look down the board into the first round at some guys we haven't looked at, and considering we have 3 picks in this range, there's a good chance we're going to draft multiple players who we go over today. Since we last talked, Myron Sheridan from Michigan State was the clear number 1 pick. We talked about him as a potential generational talent, and he has still been good this year, don't get me wrong, but he is no longer the clear consensus guy. Rurik Yakovlev has been dominating overseas, while Troyland Battle has been probably the best player in college basketball. The interesting thing with Battle is that we haven't even talked about him yet. He was not projected to go in the top 10 the last time we talked about prospects, and now he's in the race for the number 1 pick. So how has he risen up this fast? Well, Battle hasn't completely come out of nowhere. He was a 5-star recruit, played his freshman year at Kentucky. Things didn't go overly well, so he transfers to Arizona State, where he's been the best player in college basketball. This is a freakish, explosive athlete who plays with his head above the rim. He's built like a wing at 6'7", over 220 pounds, but he's the lead guard of the offense, and he can guard the 1 through the 4 defensively. He can pass, he can score, he can shoot. There really isn't a whole lot that he can't do. Arizona State has only lost 2 games this year. They've been arguably the best team in the country, and they don't really have much other NBA talent outside of Troyland Battle, who has essentially dragged them as a national championship favorite. That's how good this guy is. The one question with his game is his consistency as an outside shooter, but he has shown the flashes and improvement in that area, and I think he very well could be the top pick. Right now, it's anyone's guess between him, Yakovlev, and Sheridan. Let's look at some other guys who we haven't talked about down the board who probably won't go number 1 but are still good players, and we'll start with Jaquay Toney out of Memphis. Now, he's probably not going to go in the top 10. I feel like this ranking is a little bit of an overreaction, but he's certainly going to be a first-rounder. 6'9", 240. He's big, physical, and tough, and the name of his game is bully ball. Not entirely different offensively to a guy like Darius Springer, who really thrives in contact and is versatile defensively. I would say his game reminds me a lot of Zion Williamson, but without the world-class athleticism. And obviously that's a large part of what makes Zion who he is. So Tony's certainly the inferior player, but he's still super talented. He can't shoot the ball at all and really does not have a game offensively outside of 15 feet, but he's tough, he's physical, and he's a good defensive player. Abdul Khalif is a very fascinating player. So I would say he's made of glass, but that's doing a disservice to glass. The comparison of his body to glass is like comparing a glass to a brick. This guy is literally seconds away from having his knee explode. He has not played basketball in a year because he tore just about every ligament in his left knee, but the guy is so talented. He's super athletic, and we've seen him start to come back a little bit training, and he looks like he's moving pretty well. He's a skilled big man who can really dominate the post, but he's also got an outside game. If not for the injuries, I think he'd be in contention for the number 1 pick. But the guy can't stay on the floor. He should be healthy for the NBA draft in his rookie season, but his durability concerns are a major issue going forward. He's without a doubt the biggest wild card in this draft, and I'm excited to see who takes a chance on him and where he goes. Some other guys I want to look at include the big man out of Oregon, Adonis Cherokee. He's a little bit undersized as a center, but he makes up for it with his skill. He's really smooth around the basket, not just in the paint, but as an overall shooter. I like what he provides defensively as well. He's got long arms, despite only being 6'10". I think his athleticism can lead him to playing the 4 and maybe switch onto the perimeter if necessary. He can run the floor a little bit, and he can dribble the ball like a guard, which I think is the most impressive area of his game. Inside the three-point line, he can do just about everything you ask for as a scorer, and his playmaking really isn't too bad either. I like his defensive versatility and his quickness, and overall I feel like he is the perfect modern big for today's game, and if he slips a little bit, could be a really solid fit for a team like the Blazers. LeJason Black is a fascinating player. He was born in America, but he actually has Spanish citizenship, having grown up there. He's a big 6'9" guard who can guard the 1 through the 4 defensively, and offensively he can bring the ball up, he can play make, he can play on and off the ball, and I think his versatility on that side of the floor makes him a really intriguing player. He doesn't really have it yet as a scorer. His jump shooting is very inconsistent, and he does seem to have questionable shot IQ. Sometimes he takes too many bad shots, but he's a good playmaker, he's a good defender, and his size, length, and versatility makes him a really intriguing player for the modern NBA. So there are a lot of centers in this class, as you may have noticed. 3 guys currently projected to go in the top 11. None of them have the upside that Fonzanino Marino has, the Italian big man. He moves like a guard. He is 7'2", 215 pounds, but he moves like he is 6'2", 215 pounds. He is quick, he is agile, he doesn't necessarily have the dominance inside that you look for as a scorer and defensively, but his versatility at his size is really intriguing. Another guy who you're going to want to take a shot on. Dante Kingsley at Michigan is a National Player of the Year candidate at the point guard position. A 3-year starter with the Wolverines, Kingsley is the next experienced college guard who I think will really translate in the NBA. Think of a guy like Marcus Sasser coming out of Houston who has all the skills you look for and looks like a pretty good player. Jalen Brunson is certainly a high-end example that I think works as well. Kingsley is a slightly inefficient scorer, but he's a great defensive player, good passer as well, and I think he could sneak up into the lottery if he has a great tournament run. Let's look at some non-lottery guys, and we'll start with Khalil Griffin out of Tennessee. Worst case, I think he's going to be a really good 3-and-D guy. He can space the floor. He can guard numerous positions. I do think with his frame and his athletic upside, he could very well be more than that, and I think his well-rounded skill set really helps him out. I think the A-plus three-point grade and the A-plus perimeter defense grade are a little bit generous, but those are certainly the strengths of his game. I wish he was a more efficient scorer inside the arc, though, especially in the paint. I think he really needs to improve his ability to drive inside and score through contact, but I think he could be a really good player. There are some other intriguing players down the board. Rip McKinley out of Washington State is talented. Zay Logan from Alabama State. He's a small school guy, but he's really talented. I think Ty Lavala from Ohio State could be really good as well. Lavella is a 6'7", 220-pound jumbo guard who really plays the wing. This is somebody who's really good at scoring inside, driving to the basket as a slasher. Doesn't really provide a whole lot as a shooter, but he's a good defender. Look at that rep against Troyland Battle, the guard from Arizona State, who we talked about earlier. And then he can run the floor. He can make the easy passes. He's a good playmaker. It's really just the jump shot that needs improvement. I know it says he's from Dayton on the screen. Dayton wasn't in the game. I had to make a last-second switch, so he'll be from Ohio State going forward. Some guys to look at in the 20s. Right now, the Blazers have 3 picks in this range, so these are the guys to really watch out for. Remy Edwards and Booker Bennett are 2 intriguing players, but I want to look at the dynamic duo out of Texas. We'll start with TJ Porter Jr., the shooting guard. He's a really solid scorer, especially from the outside, and I think his scoring is definitely his best attribute right now. He can drive to the basket as well. He can throw it down. He's a very good athlete. I will say his scoring can be a little bit inefficient at times, especially from inside the arc, and his consistency needs to improve, but I think his offensive upside is really good. I like what he provides defensively as well. He's big, he's long, and he's a tough physical player on that end of the floor, and I think he could be a really solid pick in the 20s. I don't think he has too much versatility outside of the wing. He can't really play on the ball, and he doesn't really have the size to defend down low, but I think he's going to be a really good perimeter player. I think it's a rule if your last name is Porter and you get drafted into the NBA that you are Porter Jr. Look at Otto Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., even the most recent example, Craig Porter Jr. on the Cavs. His teammate, Kamarian Kaiser, is a very talented player as well. Kaiser also stands at 6'5", although he's a little bit heavier and has a slightly bigger wingspan. Kaiser is definitely not the scorer that Porter Jr. is, but I think his all-around game is a little bit better. Here he is guarding Tennessee wing Khalil Griffin, another guy we talked about earlier today, and that whole possession, he just made his life a living hell. Kaiser may not be the scorer or the shooter that Porter is, but I think he's a better playmaker, although it's close. I think his defense is certainly a little bit better, and I think he's got a little bit more versatility on that end of the floor, and I think he could be a very intriguing pick here down the board. Both of these Texas wings are really the modern type of wings you look for in today's league. Prada Polaris is one of the guys we talked about last episode. We're not going to go into more detail because we've already gone over him, but his name is kind of all over the place in these mock drafts. He's been a little bit inconsistent in the G League, and I think he could be an interesting storyline to watch down the board. I think he goes earlier than these mock drafts say, though, and I think that's also the case for Kansas wing Javion Tyler, who really hasn't been getting a whole lot of love during the pre-draft process, and I don't really know why. His 6'7", 180-pound frame obviously is not ideal, but he's 19 years old. He's got plenty of time to grow into his body, and he is a dynamic player. Look at that windmill poster, one of the best plays of the college basketball season. I think his offense is certainly his best area. He's really improved as a shooter this year. His playmaking is fine. He'll make the open passes and knows how to make good reads, but I don't know if he necessarily elevates his teammates offensively. On defense, he's pretty good too, but he does tend to get bullied a little bit because of his weak frame. But again, he'll have plenty of time to really grow into his body in an NBA weight room. And plus, he's a Jayhawk. Rock chalk. This draft class has already had a lot of player movement up and down the board, and I'm really curious to see how the NCAA tournament plays out, along with the pre-draft process, which should lead to even more change atop the draft. I want to see where the mock drafts stand, and currently 2 of them still have Myron Sheridan going number 1 overall. The other one has Yurik Yakovlev going number 1, while Troyland Battle is still outside of the top 3, but I think he will be consensus there with how good of a season he's had as the likely favorite to win the National Player of the Year. I thought the NBA.com mock draft was probably the best one as of now, with Sheridan going number 1. I don't necessarily agree with picks 2 and 3. I think Midnight Hopkins and Dante Branch are both very solid, but I'd be surprised as of now if they go ahead of Battle and the first Yakovlev twin. As for the 3 Blazer picks, they've got us going with Fonzanillo Marino, the big Italian center, with our top pick. Booker Bennett, a guard out of USC. We didn't talk about him today, but he's an intriguing combo guard who I think has a pretty solid NBA skill set. And then Zay Logan, the forward from Alabama State. Another guy who we didn't talk about today, but another guy who I do like down the board. And the Blazers are in an interesting spot with these 3 first-round picks because we could very well draft 3 rookies. We could package these picks to move up for one of the best prospects in the draft. We could package these picks to get a proven vet. We've got a lot of options, but right now we're going to focus here on the final stretch of our regular season. And we've got some big games coming up against the teams who we're battling for playoff spots with. In that tier with us in the Western Conference is Minnesota, the Clippers, and the Pelicans. We play against all three of them. We have Minnesota and the Clippers once, while we play the Pelicans 3 separate times. We better get used to this New Orleans team because we face off against them 3 times in the final month, and we very well could see them in the play-in tournament as well. So I really want to play against them here today. We're going to simulate our next 5 games against the Magic, Thunder twice, Jazz, and then the Rockets. That's a tough stretch. We saw around into the last episode. We know they're good. The Rockets are obviously great. So I knew we would struggle, but I didn't think we'd go 0-5. It looks like the biggest issue for us here is the defense, allowing at least 127 points in 3 separate games. And we did this being fully healthy. We had no new injuries during this 5-game stretch. I would have thought that the team is fully healthy, that we'd be playing better. But instead, it seems like everybody's kind of lost their chemistry with each other. If I had to point out a culprit, I think DeAndre Ayton is probably the guy you point the fingers at because he is pissed with the team for no clear reason. It looked like he was kind of becoming a diva with the Suns, and that's kind of why that marriage ended up splitting. And that appears to have carried over here in Portland, and he was upset for no good reason. Do you want the ball more? You're not a better scorer than Sharp, Simons, or Scoot, so I don't know why you're so upset. We have fallen to 9th place now. And if you look at the gap between us and 6th place, it's the same gap pretty much between us and 11th place. The Clippers and Pelicans have both been playing really well, while the Thunder and Lakers have been able to catch up, and OKC beating us twice over the last 5 games certainly helps that. So this game against New Orleans, without exaggeration, might be the biggest game we've had at this series so far. We play against them 2 additional times over the final 3 weeks of the year, and we again might see them in a playing game as well. We have lost 8 of our last 9. We have to win this game. We cannot afford to fall under 500 and continue to dig a bigger hole into the Western Conference play-in race. The Pelicans are obviously super talented with the addition of De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline, along with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. This team is really, really good, and we'll be going to their place today. The Trailblazers have lost 5 in a row and 8 of 9. The wheels appear to be falling off a little bit, so this is absolutely a must-win game. We cannot afford to go down under 500. We cannot afford to drop too many more games because eventually the Lakers and Thunder have a real shot to catch up to us, and we could miss out on a play-in spot entirely. Regular starters here for both sides. It is worth noting that Zion Williamson is a little bit banged up, but he will play today for the Pelicans. New Orleans is looking at this in the same lens that we are. They can't afford to lose too many games, and they need their best guys on the floor despite injury. Ayton and Valanciunas meet for the tip. It goes to Ayton, and we are underway. I think DeAndre Ayton could be the X factor today. We need him to show up and quit crying like a baby, respectfully. Portland looking to get the scoring started. Here's Agbaji out to the rookie, Darius Springer, who hits the 3. Springer's been really good since the All-Star break, but the one issue is his 3-point efficiency. 26% since the break, but he does knock that one down. Fellow rookie Bryce Watson is in for the floater, drafted late in the first round out of Dayton this past year. The Pelicans had 3 first-rounders, one of which they traded away to get De'Aaron Fox, as Scoot Henderson hits the fadeaway triple. 6-2 your score. Here's Henderson back with it. Nice move. Has the mismatch with Valanciunas, and he's going to take that all the way. Quick start for Scoot Henderson. He's got 5 here in the early going, looking to give the Blazers some early much-needed energy. Agbaji with it inside. Has Scoot wide open in the corner for 3. Scoot Henderson with 8 points on 3 of 3 shooting here in the first few minutes of the game. Zion misses down low. Good defense by the rookie Springer, who takes it up the floor himself, and Springer is in for the layup. This Blazers team looks hungry with a vengeance today. They lead at 15-6. They haven't missed a shot yet. Here's Henderson. Pull-up jumper is good. He's already in the double figures. Portland's offense looks unbelievable right now. 7 of 7 from the field. Here's Shaedon Sharpe now. Takes it himself with the windmill. Beautiful slam for Shaedon Sharpe, the leading scorer of the Trailblazers, averaging over 20 a night. 13-point game. Here's Ingram with it. Guarded at the top of the key by Sharpe. Looking for the screen. Here's B.I. for 3. The Pelicans are trying to make sure this game doesn't become a blowout quickly as Ingram cuts it to 10. Here's Agbaji. Hesitates and slams it home. I don't think Agbaji expected the defender to bite, so he was a little bit surprised. But he's going to take that for a dunk. 21-11 now. Here's Henderson with it. Has Springer wide open in the corner. Pump fake. Springer with the slam. We are over halfway through the first quarter, and the Trailblazers still have not missed a shot. This is unbelievable. They've scored literally on every possession. They are not missing. Ingram no good. Valanciunas is there, however, with the putback. 23-15. Here's Ayton out to Henderson. Henderson lobs it up. Dominating with the slam. Ayton's been really unselfish so far. He already has 3 assists. I'm very encouraged by his performance so far. Springer misses it. That is the first missed shot for the Blazers all day. We are 7 minutes into the game. Portland started 11 of 11 from the field. That is wild. On the other end, Herb Jones is there with the jumper. New Orleans needs Herb Jones in the game. He's their best defensive player, and boy, have they missed him. Scoot right back to business with the short shot inside. He's got 12 on 5 of 5 shooting from the floor. 27-17. Here's Zion. Fadeaway on Grant is good. With Zion's injury, he's going to be a little bit less mobile. That's obviously going to hurt his athleticism, but he should still be very effective. Here's Grant in the corner. Knocks down the contested 3. Portland continuing to hold on to a comfortable lead. Shot won't fall for Fox. Murphy with the rebound. Putback is no good. Skirmish for the ball, and the Blazers end up with it in transition. Scoot lobs it up for Simmons. Ben Simmons with the alley-oop dunk. The Blazers continuing to put a show on here in New Orleans. 34-21. There's Trey Murphy III with the slam. 34-23 now with 8 seconds to go in the quarter. Henderson brings it up the floor for the Blazers. Looks to get some room here. Henderson looks to hand it off in the corner for Sharp at the buzzer. No good. 34-23, your score after 1. Portland's offense through the first 7 minutes of this game literally did not miss. They started 11 of 11. Since then, they have cooled off 3 through their last 10, but they've still been dominant offensively so far to start, and the defenses look good too against 3 all-star scorers. Here's Ingram in the second. Pull-up jumper is good, and New Orleans starts things off with an early mid-ranger. Melton hands it off for Sharp, looking to drive by Ingram. Sharp inside, off the glass. Nice move by Shaedon Sharp to get the floater in. 36-25, here is Grant inside, no good. Gets his own miss and is there with the putback. Jeremy Grant doing the glass cleaning down low as it's a 15-point game. Here's Grant inside, he is blocked. Big snuff by the Pelican defense. On the other end, it's the rookie Bryce Watson in for the layup. Watson started last year as a projected top 10 pick, had a rough freshman season at Dayton, but he's turned out to be a better pro than he was college player, having a very strong season with the Pelicans. There's former Trailblazer Larry Nance Jr. in for the layup, 46-35. Sharp, pump fake over to the big fella, DeAndre Ayton, guarded by Zion, couple of number 1 picks, and it's Ayton who wins the battle, bullying him down low. 48-35 now, halfway through the second. Here's Fox, pull-up 3 is good. It's been an inefficient start here in the first half for De'Aaron Fox. The Pelicans gave up a lot to get him, including some key young players such as rookie Alfie Kohn, Dyson Daniels, and multiple first-round picks as he misses the 3 on the other end. Agbaji, long-range 3 is good. Ochai Agbaji knocks it down. 51-38. Simons tries to bait Fox into the shot. He passes it to Ingram, but Simons is there with the steal. Simons to Agbaji inside for the layup. Great play by Simons to force the turnover, run the floor, make the pass. 38-53 now. Portland still with a comfortable lead. Fox for 3 is good. I kind of expected the Pelicans to really come back here in the second quarter with Portland's offense coming back down to earth. That hasn't really happened. Nice dunk for Zion Williamson to bring the lead within 12. Pretty much the same deficit we had at the end of the first quarter. Springer knocks down another 3. Springer already has 3 3-pointers here in the first half. For a guy who's a bad outside shooter, that's pretty good. Agbaji's step-back jumper is good. The offense really heating up again. Trailblazers lead by 15. Here's Ingram. Pull-up jumper, no good. Zion with the rebound. He gets the putback as it's now 60-47. The Blazers looking for one more shot here at the end of the first half. It's Scoot Henderson. Takes it all the way! Scoot Henderson with a little rack attack. He's going to hang on the rim for a little while, too, as Fox is going to have to heave it up at the end of the first half, and it is no good. I'm honestly more impressed by the performance in the second quarter by the Blazers than I was in the first quarter. Yes, that offensive start, not missing for the first 7 minutes, is really impressive, but I'm more so surprised that the Blazers were able to keep this big of a lead despite cooling off offensively. It's been their defense that's been really solid so far. Scoot leading the way, of course, with 16 and 7. Right as I'm gassing him up, he gives De'Aaron Fox too much space to hit the three. 12 points in the first half for Fox, albeit only making around a third of his shots. Here's Henderson, hands it off for DeAndre Ayton. Fadeaway three is good. The Trailblazers answer back with a triple of their own. 67-50. Ingram now. His three is good. 3 3-pointers in the first minute of the third quarter. Henderson with it inside. Has a wide open man in the corner. It's Agbaji off the pump fake. Agbaji with the slam. Ochai's having a really nice game. 13 points. He's been super efficient. He's been the unsung hero of this team all year. That's Scoot's 10th assist of the game, by the way. He is a double-double already. Henderson to Agbaji off the screen. It's good. Ochai Agbaji cannot miss. He's now got 16 tonight. 74-59. Henderson with it. Over to Agbaji again, guarded by Ingram. And look at Agbaji just muscling him down low. Ingram's got no answer. Ochai Agbaji is playing out of his mind right now. Agbaji from the parking lot. No good, but Ayton's there with the putback. That was a heat check moment for Ochai. It doesn't fall, but Ayton's still there to get the 2 points. Here's Agbaji wide open for three on the very next possession. He knocks it down now with 21 points, 12 of which are here in the third quarter. He is playing so well right now. Just looks unconscious shooting the ball. There's Fox for three. 83-67 now. Scoot with 18 and 12. Throws it down. Scoot dominated as a scorer earlier in this game. The Pelicans have really guarded him tightly, so he's had to do more as a playmaker. And he's done that with 12 assists. Here's a good look for three. It's Herbert Jones. Roll Tide. Brings it within 11. 87-74. Brandon Ingram with it now here for New Orleans. Around a minute left in the third. Gets it over to Fox. Drives by Simons. Fox's shot over Simmons is no good. But Jonas Valanciunas is there with the putback. 11-point game here. Ingram now brings it up the floor once again. Ingram inside. Pull-up jumper will fall. And the Pelicans bring the deficit back within single digits. The Blazers were up by as much as 20 here in the third quarter. Now they're only up by 9. The last few minutes, as you can see, have been a total disaster. Portland's offense has been so good today, but they can't buy a bucket right now. Nance out to Murphy, and Trey hits the tray. We are now within 6. The closest this game has been since the first quarter. Portland looking for one more shot. Here is Shaedon Sharpe with it. Gonna have to get some room. Heave it up at the buzzer. It is good! Sharpe knocks it down, but the question is, did he get the shot off? The initial call on the floor is that he did not, but we'll have to take a look at the replay. So as you can see here, Sharpe gets some room, and he gets rid of it right there with a little over a tenth of a second left on the clock. So the shot will count, and it'll be an 89-81 ball game going into the fourth quarter. Sharpe has been quiet today, a very inefficient 11 points. He's got to heat up. Speaking of heating up, nice move by Grant. Step back three. 92-82. Henderson floats it inside. He's blocked. Springer with the board, no good. Springer with another board, and third time's the charm. Darius Springer continues to be arguably the best rebounder of the rookie class, as it's a 12-point game. Wide open three, though, will fall for Trey Murphy. 97-85. Here is Scoot Henderson. He's got 23 and 12. Out to Springer. Another three ball. Darius Springer letting it fly tonight. He's shooting it well. 100-87. Fox inside. It's stolen by the rookie Springer. In transition, here is Simons. He lobs it up for Shaedon Sharpe. Good ball movement on that possession by the Blazers. Again, unselfish basketball has been the key to this offense today. Henderson step back three. It's going to fall. 26 and 13 for Scoot Henderson. Have yourself a night. 105-87. Here's the rookie, Bryce Watson inside. Nice move. He gets the floater to fall over the extended arm of Sharpe. Nonetheless, the Blazers are back up by 15, and they're looking for more. Henderson, however, is intercepted by Brandon Ingram. Can the Pelicans try to get a run here to put themselves back in the game? It's the big man, Valanciunas, in for the layup. Good play there by the Pelicans. 105-92. Zion Williamson with it. Zion's doubled. Somebody's going to be open. It's Bryce Watson who hits the three. New Orleans back within 10. We'll see if the Pelicans can continue their comeback or if the Blazers can get some shots to fall like that one. Jeremy Grant blows by Zion for the slam. 107-95. Nance at the top of the key. Over to Valanciunas. It's good. And New Orleans is going to keep it within 10. Blazers call a timeout with 4 to go. Ayton sends it cross court for Simons. Simons on the move. Big shot for the Trailblazers. Anthony Simons has really become this team's closer in the fourth quarter. If there's one guy you trust with the ball, it's him. There's Abaji with the dunk. He's now got 23 points. He is rightfully fired up. 14-point game. Ingram with it, guarded by Simons, looking for the screen. Fade away, 3-ball, will fall. Nice shot for Brandon Ingram. New Orleans continues to hang in there, but the Blazers have had such a comfortable lead the entire game. What a move by Scoot Henderson. He now has 28. 113-102 with a minute and a half to play. Ingram inside, and the shot will fall down low for Bryce Watson. 9-point game. Henderson with it. Henderson's pass is intercepted. De'Aaron Fox off the turnover, gets it over to Brandon Ingram. Ingram inside, no good. Big miss. Zion ends up with it, and he misses. What a huge defensive possession there by the Blazers. Abaji, Springer, and Ayton all in there down low. Scoot, bang! That might be the dagger. It's an 11-point game here with seconds to go now. New Orleans just trying to get anything going as Watson is blocked. Springer with the snuff. Blazers back with it. Ayton out to Springer. Springer to Simons. Simons, ball game! The windmill for Inferno to finish it off here in NOLA. Fox hits a tough 3 to bring it within 8, but it's not going to matter. The 5-game losing streak for the Trailblazers is snapped. They win at 117-109 here against the Pelicans. A massive win within the Western Conference play-in and playoff race as both of these teams continue to hunt for the 6th seed. The offense was unbelievable to start this game. Again, not missing in the first 7 minutes. And then from there, we had built enough of a lead to where it was sustainable for the rest of the game. The Pelicans stayed in it until the end, give them credit. But after we went on our big run, New Orleans never brought it within more than 6 because we just were that consistent through the entire game. Fox had 30 points, albeit he was kind of inefficient. 30 points on 30 shots. Ingram, 19 points, but on 19 shots. Zion, 12 points on 12 shots. Zion gets more slack, though, because he was hurt. Watson and Valanciunas were pretty solid, although New Orleans didn't get a whole lot out of their bench. As for the Blazers, 30 points, 15 assists, and 7 rebounds for Scoot Henderson. Maybe the best game of his pro career. He's been really good since the All-Star break. He has struggled a little bit during our losing streak, but he played awesome tonight. Season high in assists. 23 for Ochai Agbaji. He was great. Springer was a dog. Sharp was not great, though. 6 of 18 from the field. And Sharp really was not in the game down the stretch because Agbaji had been playing so well and Anthony Simons is our closer. That just shows how many guys we have who we trust down the stretch. This game was super fun, super fast-paced. Both teams nearly got off 100 shots. That's like a shot every 12 seconds. That's a really quick rate. So as it stands now, taking a look at the standings, we are 36-35, and we're now in 8th place, passing the struggling Timberwolves who have lost 5 in a row. We're going to wrap up the regular season in the next episode, finding out if we get a playoff spot. We're a game and a half out of 6th place. Do we miss the playoffs? We're a game and a half out of the playoffs entirely. Or do we end up in the play-in tournament? We've got a really tough schedule down the stretch. The Milwaukee game is pretty easy. The Kings game is pretty easy, and that's about it. Our biggest competition, Minnesota, the Clippers, and the Pelicans twice. Those guys are on the schedule. The Rockets, Grizzlies, and Warriors are all playoff locks. Those should be really tough games as well. Our schedule is going to be brutal down the stretch, and if we are a playoff caliber team, then we need to beat other playoff caliber teams who are competing for that same 6th seed spot that we are. I hope everybody is ready for the regular season finale. It should be a really fun episode. I'm super excited about it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.